It's 1994. I just arrived in Hong Kong. I'm 25 years old and I'm running one of the most dynamic, if not the most dynamic entertainment venue back then in Asia Pacific at the Grand Hyatt Hong Kong. And the place was called JJ's. Under one roof, you had, a few bars, you had lounges, you had a DJ program with like amazing combination of DJ booth. You had live entertainment, always an 8-piece R&B band. For the ones who remember, CC Riders, Freddie James and the Fusion 3. We had a pizza bar, we had a restaurant, we had dance floors, up and down, different floors. On weekends, we would do like up to 1,200 covers on Fridays and Saturdays. Literally every Friday or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the queue would start from like, I would say 8:30 all the way to 1 in the morning. And it was just like incredible, busy all the time. The most influential people in the city came to party there. I came into the middle of a storm, running or managing over 50 full-time members at the time, between the band, the DJs, to manage the sponsorship, the communications, the theme parties. And it was just like crazy. We were so successful. We would create this out of this world kind of Halloween parties, Mardi Gras, New Year's Eve parties. A beautiful man called Gregory Durham that used to do all the costumes and the choreographies, which were amazing. And each party, it had to be bigger, it had to be better, it had to be bolder. We had to be more creative than the last one. So, I'm 25, 26 years old. I'm thinking, wow, I've mastered hospitality. I know everything. I understand everything about people. I understand everything about operations. I understand literally about success. And literally I realized I was totally wrong, because literally hospitality is not measured by the noise. It's really measured by the impact that you have. After 2 intense years, something unexpected happened. I'm offered the role of a restaurant manager, of Rossini. At the time, was like the restaurant in Hong Kong, or one of the restaurants in Hong Kong, or the Grand Hyatt Hong Kong, and still super successful today. A beautiful, elegant Italian restaurant, super famous for its grissini, freshly made to order when you arrive. It takes literally 7 minutes from the moment you arrive. They go in the oven, served with beautiful olive oil and aged balsamic vinegar. And at the time I just say no, I can't do that. It wasn't because I didn't want to do it, but it just felt, I was not legitimate. I didn't have the skill or the knowledge of wine, Italian wines at the time. I didn't know enough about the Italian culture. So I disqualified myself before anyone else would have the chance to disqualify me. So I just don't want to do it. Maybe you would have done the same. So I said no to that opportunity, not because I could not do it really, but because I was kind of afraid somehow I was not enough for it. And at the time, my boss was really not happy about this. He said, okay, Christophe, then you can do a more senior role, in JJ's. And I already done 2 years. And the nightclub entertainment business is a hard profession. I just said, look, no again. And, in the 90s, saying no to your boss in Hong Kong or anywhere else, for a matter of fact, was almost a career suicide. So, I was kind of worried a bit. And then, shortly after, I was called in by a man called Frank Ansel. He was in charge of food and beverage at the time for Asia Pacific, a legend behind the most iconical restaurants and bars in Asia Pacific with Hyatt, including the Grissini's, the One Harbour Roads, the New York Grills that are still today super famous. And he looked at me and he said, Christophe, I think you're making a big mistake. You should have taken that JJ's job. I listened to him and I took it in, and he was, like someone I revered. And somehow, I told him, I said, Frank, I didn't say Frank at the time. I said, Mr. Ansel, I said, I do want to grow, but I want to move towards something that is more creative. And at 25, I'm telling one of the most respected leaders in hospitality that I want something else. So actually, this is where the whole story changes. He did listen actually, and because of Frank Ansel, I call him Frank now, and because another 2 people that believed in me when I was not even sure myself or believed in myself. So one of them was executive chef Buddy, who was the chef of the Grand Hyatt Hong Kong. And then Antonio Martin da Silva, who was the director of events at the time, and of course, Frank Ansel, or I can call him Frank now. So they actually, kind of listened to me, and they went back. And then one afternoon, I was called in at the general manager's office. So after over 2 years, I was in the nightclub. And actually, in the 2 years I was there, I think he never called me in his office. Anyway, I walked in, Antonio's there smiling, and the general manager, looks at me and says, "Christophe, we would like you to be the next director of events. You will go through an intense training of 2 months. Are you up for it?" Without hesitation, I said, "Yes, of course." But then as I walked out of the office, I understand this is something that really shaped my career in the future. And success somehow is not always about knowing everything. Success is about deciding that very moment that you want to do it. And in this moment of decision, that's your destiny. That's when your destiny is shaped. So that day at 25 years old, I made that decision. Not to be the one that knows everything, but to be the one who wants to learn, who wants to improve. And someone that can ask himself, or ask questions when one doesn't know. So do I know how to do this? And I started asking more questions. And asking questions like, who can teach me how to be better at what I'm doing? And this is really the lesson I want to share with you, or the wisdom today is, in hospitality, too many managers think that they must have it all. They must have all the answers. They believe that leadership means certainty. But leadership does not mean certainty. Leadership means curiosity. Leadership means humility. Leadership means asking questions without ego. I went from a nightclub full of noises, entertainment, to a ballroom full of elegance and sophistication. I went from DJs and R&B bands to sophisticated dinners for luxury brands, taking care of diplomats, of celebrities, of royalty. So, how do you know what makes the difference? It's not my knowledge, or it wasn't my knowledge, but it was my willingness to say, I do not know. Please teach me. So I sat down with the chefs, I sat down with the banquet service team, with the banquet planning team, with the banquet sales team, with the florist, with the lighting technicians. So I became a student again, but a student that learned and improved, and not only take notes and listen, but actually I went and looked for new references to help us to be better at what we do. So that is when my real career started. The quality of your life, or my life, or our lives, is really the quality of the questions you can ask. So, I changed, kind of my questions. Instead of asking, how do I look competent, or how do I know to do something? I started asking myself, what can I learn today? Instead of asking, how do I show authority? I asked myself, who has the expertise to do this? Who can help us to improve? Or do you know someone that can help us to do that? So I really believe that, pretending to know is the fastest way to stop learning. So at JJ's, I learned how to create energy. In the ballroom, I learned how to create emotions. There's a beautiful saying from Maya Angelou that says, people will never forget how you make them feel. This is really when I understood the difference between entertainment and hospitality. So entertainment really creates excitement. Hospitality creates emotion. So here's the pattern that changed everything for me. 3 things. So one is really to decide. Once you've decided, you're committed, and then you will resolve. Decide you want to grow. Commit to learning from others. When you resolve, it's never to pretend that you know everything, because you do not. Because growth never starts with confidence. It starts with courage. And courage to say yes. Courage to ask for help when you don't know. Courage to look inexperienced for a while. But if today you feel you're not ready for the next step in your career, well, that's good. It means that you're exactly where growth begins. Because you are not supposed to be, or not supposed to feel ready. You're supposed to feel willing. Willing to learn, willing to ask, and willing to be uncomfortable. That decision at 25 years old shaped everything that came after in my career, across luxury hotels, restaurants, retail, events around the world. All because I stopped asking, do I know? I start asking, who can teach me? Who that is better than me can help me to achieve this? And that is the hospitality leadership. This is how you move from noise to excellence. This is how you turn energy into emotion. This is how you overpromise and you overdeliver.